In recent years, China has been intensifying its maritime activities in the Asia-Pacific region, bolstered by its economic growth and expanding military force. Take, for example, the South China Sea. In 1974, China took control of the Paracel Islands as a direct outcome of military conflict with South Vietnam. Then, in 1988, China occupied Johnson South Reef in the Spratly Islands, which had been under the control of Vietnam. In 1995, China occupied Mischief Reef in the Spratly Islands, which was at that time controlled by the Philippines. The situation surrounding the Senkaku Islands in the East China Sea can be viewed as just one example of China's intensifying maritime activities in the Asia-Pacific region. It was in the 1970s that China started to claim its territorial sovereignty over the Senkaku Islands, after the potential existence of oil reserves in the East China Sea was identified. That is, the Chinese government did not contest Japan's sovereignty over the Senkaku Islands for approximately 75 years, following the incorporation of the Senkaku Islands in 1895. In 1992, China enacted the Law on the Territorial Sea and the Contiguous Zone unilaterally, claiming that not only the Senkaku Islands, but also the Paracel Islands and the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea were part of China's territory. With Chinese maritime research vessels having started to increase their activities, for the first time in its history, the Chinese government in December 2008 sent a government vessel which intruded into the territorial waters of Japan surrounding the Senkaku Islands, beginning a full-scale campaign to attempt to change the status quo through force and coercion. In September 2010, a Chinese fishing trawler conducting illegal operations deliberately crashed into Japanese Coast Guard patrol vessels. In August 2012, an illegal landing on the Senkaku Islands was made by civil activists from Hong Kong. The number of incursions by Chinese government ships into Japanese territorial waters has significantly increased since September 2012, with a total of 76 incidents recorded by the end of January 2014. In addition, Chinese government aircraft intruded into Japan's territorial airspace over the Senkaku Islands for the first time in December 2012. In November 2013, the Chinese government suddenly established the East China Sea Air Defense Identification Zone, which designates the airspace directly above the Senkaku Islands as if it were part of Chinese territory. This zone infringes upon the principle of freedom of flight in international airspace, and many countries have expressed their concern. The Japanese Coast Guard has been in operation 24 hours a day, every day, to monitor and respond to the activities conducted by Chinese government ships in the waters off the Senkaku Islands. The government of Japan is determined to protect its territorial land, airspace, and sea, and will continue to act firmly and calmly to prevent the situation from escalating further. Japan, together with countries around the world and in the region, will actively work to maintain maritime peace on the basis of the rule of law, and not by force or coercion.